Hello and welcome to Playing the Game. This is episode 2, and I'm your host, Death's Crowbar, aka Joshua Turner. And today we are going to be talking a little about D&D. If you haven't seen my last video, you can easily go to that. Just come right back. I don't mind. Watch it through if you want. Watch part of it. And then, just don't forget to come right back here. Alright, so today I'm going to really just focus on what are considered the 3 pillars of adventure. And then kind of talk about a few different things that you need to remember in Dungeons and Dragons. Small things, just little small things. Now, last time we kind of went over what you need and kind of what D&D is, a little. To kind of recap on that, you need your dice. You need some kind of set of rules for the player. There's the basic set of rules, which I have a link to in the last video. I'll try and relink it here today. So you can get the basic rules for 5th edition for free. But Player's Handbook has a lot more. Now, no matter what edition you're playing, you're eventually going to want to get a Player's Handbook or get it on PDF even, which is possible. I do recommend buying it, though, not pirating it. I do know a lot of people that pirate books. Alright. So, you know what, let's also do a bit of the how to play in this section. So, books, dice, you definitely want some kind of notebook to keep things up with, and maybe a folder or a backpack or something to keep your different things in. Well, a backpack, but maybe also a folder to keep character sheets, papers, and whatnot. Sometimes you make maps, so graph paper is helpful, but it's not required. Alright. So, we're going to go through a little bit of the how to play section. I'm going to talk about it a little. I'm going to read a little bit off of it, but I'm more going to freehand this. And then we'll move on to rounding and doing different dice that you don't normally have. And then 3 pillars of adventure. Alright, so how to play. Number 1, the DM describes an environment. So, for example, the DM might say, "You've just awoken in a bed. It's made of hay and you're in a dark room. In fact, you can tell that the room is made of stone. This might be a cave. You're not quite sure. This isn't where you fell asleep. You know this is not where you went to bed. As you look around, there's a brazier in the center of the room, but it's not lit. And then on the wall, there's a shelf full of chemicals and components. It looks like something for rituals or spell work. And beside, there is a standing lamp stand, or there is a lampstand. There's a door off to your right and another to your left. You hear something breathing outside the left door. What do you do? So, that is kind of how a DM would start something off. Starting off in a tavern or somewhere else is not uncommon. And that might be, you've been playing for a while and that happens. But then it's the player's turn to figure out what they're going to do about this. Now, a good player is going to try and work with the DM, and a good DM is going to try and work with the player on this, because you want to work things together fluidly and make a story. Now, this isn't necessarily going to be a book or a movie or anything like that. It doesn't have to have all the drama and the other stuff of a book and a movie and stuff. You need to be tactical at times, but I don't recommend being completely too tactical, if that's a thing. Trying to essentially metagame, as we call it. You know, try and do things tactically that your character isn't doing, but you are. You want to do things as your character. So, you know what? As your character, you might say. Well, I'm a wizard, so I'm gonna try and sneak over and see what these components might be for. And the DM might respond with, okay, as you sneak over, you hit something. You trip a little and make some noise. You hear a little scurrying around the door. But as you stop, might roll a die to make sure, or have you roll a die to make sure you actually do stop and don't make any more noise. It slows down. It seems they think it may have been rats or something. Whatever's outside the door. As you make it over to the shelves, make a search check or make a intelligence check, and there will be checks that you have to make throughout the game that will be based off the stats that we talked a little about in the last thing. And I will probably try and get more into stats later. And you make the check, or you don't make the check. So, let's say you make the check, and he's like, alright, you can tell that these are components for summoning a dark demon of the abyss. The only thing is it's missing one component here. A human. Now, you being a human might freak out about this. And so you're like, I'm going to get out of here. I don't want to die. So you figure, well, the door on the left, somebody's obviously guarding it, so I'm going to take the door on the right. And you take the door on the right. And then from there, you figure out what's going on. That is kind of what the how to play section talks about here. It's just talking about how you and the DM work together, talking about things narratively, about what you do, and things like that. There is also player-to-player stuff, which we'll get into in a little bit. Alright, so because I'm going to avoid some of the 5th edition specific stuff, what we're going to say is we're going to go here to round down section, which is, this is page 7 if you have the Player's Handbook for 5th edition, and it just simply talks about how if you roll a die and you have to divide it, you always round the number down. It doesn't matter whether it's 6.57. You round it down. Alright, so it would just be 6. It would not become 7. You never round up. Except for DMs. Sometimes they round up. But this is for players, not DMs. And then there's a section talking about how you have adventures in Dungeons and Dragons and things like that. And, you know, over different adventures, your characters grow. You need to try and do something to have the character start them off with certain traits and things. Maybe they don't keep the same traits, Maybe they change over time. Maybe a good character starts to become evil, or an evil character good, or various other things. I don't play evil characters, so I try to tend to the lawful good to chaotic good side of things. Anything good, really. Nothing neutral either, because as many of us say, neutral is evil in our D&D campaigns, because generally someone who says they're going to be a neutral character in our campaigns is, well, we don't like people playing evil so much, so, oh, I'm not evil, I'm neutral. Anyway, then you have the 3 pillars of adventure here that is talked about, and the first is exploration. And exploration is simply going around an area, whether it's wood or a house or a cave, and the DM talking about what things are like. And maybe he maps it out, maybe he doesn't, but you figure out what the place is like, you get an idea for it. And then you have social interaction. Now this is a big point of D&D, and you need to be able to have social interaction with the DM and your other players. Now it doesn't always have to be role-playing, but eventually it's good to get up to a point where you can role-play, even if you're not really used to it. The only way you'll get good at role-playing is role-playing, if that makes any sense. And there's actually some really great games out there that are just to help teach you how to role-play. So I'll see if I can find some of those. Last time I saw them, they were listed on Tabletop by Will Wheaton, and it's been a while since I saw that. So you need to be able to work with your other PCs or player characters. You need to be able to say, at least, well, my character does this. They respond with, well, my character does that, or my character says this to his character, and back and forth. And an important part, I'd say, with any player-character relation is to never let the character become the player. And what I mean by this is, let's say you're on an adventure, and there's a door that's locked, and there's obviously a trap on it, but you've got a rogue in the party, so you think you can get through the trap. You also have to get through the lock, though, and so your cleric decides, you know what, let's screw it. We don't even know if that treasure's gonna be real on the other side. We don't know whether this is all one huge trap or not. Let's just keep going. And you end up keep going. Well, one of your characters may have really wanted to get through that trap and get the treasure. Maybe it was the rogue, or maybe it was the fighter. But either way, your character may be angry at the cleric character. But that is not a reason to be angry at the cleric player. The person who plays a character is not someone who you should get annoyed about or irritated with because of what they've done with their character, unless they are just completely being a wangrod. Alright, I think you guys can understand what a wangrod is when I say that. I'm trying to be a little PG here. But generally, you don't want to harbor any emotions from between characters to your actual person, and vice versa. So, you know, you don't bring anger enmity between two people into your characters. And you don't bring enmity between your characters into yourself. It's really important to do that so that you don't hurt relationships. That's one of the big important things in D&D. I've seen a lot of people who have had relationships hurt over things like that. So, and then eventually you're going to want to get to role-playing, like I said. Role-playing is simply being able to say things as your character. So you might have one guy talking, and he isn't necessarily talking to one of the other players. He may be talking to a character in a tavern. So you might be in the tavern, and you may be, "Barmaid, give me another." That's role-playing. It's simply talking in the first person as your character. Playing in the first person as your character. Playing in the third person is still interaction, and it's still social interaction, and it's an important thing to keep with. And then there's the combat. Combat is kind of core to D&D. D&D really just started out with combat. You had this game where you fought monsters and got treasure. But it kind of evolved to more role-playing, more social things. And it became very fun because of that. I enjoy both the combat and the social interaction and working with the DM and everything. And not everyone's going to enjoy all of it. Some people are only going to enjoy some of it. So don't be angry at yourself or someone else if one person doesn't like role-playing or social interaction as much and prefers, killing all the monsters, or vice versa. But killing things, or at least defeating scenarios, is a core thing to D&D. And killing things and defeating scenarios aren't necessarily the same. You might defeat a scenario by, instead of killing someone, talking to them, getting information out of them, and having both of you survive, and them now your friend helping you through a dungeon or something. But you may have to kill them. And that may be how things end up with a bad guy or something. So, that is about what I want to cover tonight. The video is already going a little longer than I wanted at least, but I hope this kind of gave you a little bit more of an idea of what you need to know about Dungeons & Dragons, how things work just a little. I wish I'd have had someone with me to kind of work this out, but unfortunately I'm alone on this video making thing, so I can't have someone else stand in for the DM and me do that, and I don't even have the setup to do so. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this, please, subscribe to the channel so you know when new videos come out. And as always, to all you nerds out there, to all you gamers, and to all you geeks, keep doing what you do. But I highly recommend, if you're not playing D&D, you learn and you play it. Alright. Thank you guys. This is Crowbar signing out.